Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych.Club, from the TomNumbers show. News of TomNumbers on top of your game, and I've got my buddy on this Easter 2024, this weekend of Easter. IsmaelPerez, how are you, sir? How are you, buddy? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too, Tom. I'm excited. I just released my very first book ever, which is a prequel to Our Cosmic Origin. And this is the book that I was talking about when I first came into the scene 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Secret Government. Well, I restructured it and I retitled it. So the new name of the book is The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, Secret Lies and Power. And ever since it came out again in the last 3 days, it's become a hit. Now, what happened was when I first published this book in 2008, brother, a lot of people were still asleep. They didn't understand who the secret government was, you know, they didn't know anything that was really going on, right? Everybody was drinking the Kool-Aid. So I was able to sell about 3,000 copies, and get this. Apparently, this book struck a chord with some member of the Cabal families or somebody that was associated with the Cabal families. They said that I revealed way too much, so they completely took this book out of circulation after about 3 months of it being published in 2008. And they threatened me. They told me I couldn't publish this work because I revealed too much information, too many specifics, figures, and dates. So I waited, you know, what, almost 15, 16 years, fast forward now. And now that the White Hats are in control, the Cabal is no longer able to threaten the circulation of this book anymore. So it's been out for 3 days now, and luckily it's become a bestseller. Thank God, because, you know, there is so much information out there in this book that people need to know. It took me a lot of information compiled. In fact, I do have references in this book in the back. I had to read about 200 books. I had to also study all these documents that some of them were, of course, taken out of circulation, that were actually in the 80s and 90s, all revealing the truth about the inner workings of the secret societies, the members of the secret societies, and how every event that has ever transpired, including, you know, what happened with the twin, right?
Yeah.
In New York, right? I'm going to speak in code.
Yeah.
It's all laid down in this book, exactly how it all went down. And the missing element between the modern day, what they call the international bankers, right? It starts with an I, L-L-U-M-I, right? That big ILU word.
Yeah.
The missing link between the modern day NWO conspiracy is connected through a secret society where it connects everything back to the resurrection, my friend, of the Holy Roman Empire. So what we're dealing with here is nothing more than these conspirators, which I call in my book the Dark Brotherhood, who are really just trying to resurrect their age-old agenda of, you know, restoring what they call the Holy Roman Empire, but now they call it the NWO, of course. So yeah, you know, that there is a missing link, of course. A lot of people thought that it was just the Rothschilds and gang, but it's more than just the international bankers. You know, it's really just the I don't want to say who they are. Of course, you have to order the book to find out who they are, but all roads lead to Rome. That's all I'm going to say. And when people thought that Rome fell almost 2,000 years ago, right? The collapse of the Roman Empire. All they did was reorganize and became the Holy Roman Church. That's all they did.
Right.
It was the Caesars taking off their religious robes and putting on togas. No, I'm sorry, taking off their togas to put on religious robes, and then they became the vicars of the Vatican ever since. But that's who's been at the core of what I call in my book, the Luciferian agenda, is the Vatican.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is available. It is available for those that want to read this book before, again, you know, hopefully it doesn't get out, they don't eliminate this time now that the White Hats are in power. But it is available on Amazon. You know, if you guys go to Amazon, The Secret Government, Invincible Architects, Secret Power and Lies, you guys should be able to access this book. I know a lot of people
is it on your website as well? Is it on your
Oh,
website now?
yes, it is. You could also, there is a direct link in my website or cosmicorigin.com. And of course, I'll give you the links for those that want to get my book. Oh, and I also revealed the hidden history of the white hats. See, but back then, my friend, I was calling them the White Knights. Can you still see me? Because I'm only seeing that it's filming from here
I
down.
can still see you, but I think because you're looking at the screen, you're looking downwards, so I can still see you. That's
You
it.
can still see me above and everything. Good.
Yeah, I can still see you, but if you're able to maybe look just above.
There we go. How's that?
You're more central now. That's better.
All right.
That's better.
All right.
We like that.
So,
That's good.
So I do talk about the history of the White Knights. See, back then in 2008, I was coining them the White Knights, right? It wasn't until what, 2016, due to the 17th letter of the alphabet, Anonymous, Charlie Ward, where all of a sudden they started coining the term white hat. But in this book, I actually reveal the history of the White Knights. And my friend, they've always been around. They've always been around, counteracting every attempt by the Dark Brotherhood to implement fascist totalitarian, domination of the planet. And really, when you really want to get technical, as you will uncover in the secret government, is that all roads lead back to Babylon. The bloodline association, the human reptilian hybrids, right? The 13 bloodlines of these Cabal families, they all are descendants of Nimrod, which is, of course, going back to Babylon. Yeah, that's all revealed in this book.
It's so this always happens when we do the shows. So you just said about White Knights. So white is 65, which is solar. Knights with the S, as you said, is because knight is 69, checkmate, people, financial, wealth. But knights with the S plural is 88, Trump. And it's also purple. Now, I did a show. Well, actually, I put out a show. I've just done one with 107 today. We'll talk off screen on that, but I've just done a show with one, but I also put out another one. The thumbnail I chose was purple and white. Purple and white. So white or purple. White is white, as you said, and then knights is 88, which is purple. Anyway.
Well, purple is also the seventh ray that is administrated by no other than Saint Germain, who is overshadowing, President 45. Well, soon to be President 47.
Yeah, and 46.
And by the way, it's definite, guys. He is coming back. He is definitely coming back. And he will get a second term, and he will finish the job in draining the swamp.
So what happened is I put that out on Twitter last night. I've done it on my Telegram people and Twitter now. People can see it. I've taken a screenshot of it. Anyway, so it's a very powerful. I like to use colors. I think in colors and numbers, as people know. So all my thumbnails are coded and colored, and I just like to keep it different and interesting. Anyway, so it was white writing with purple background. President Trump's team, his campaign team, put out on Twitter just a few hours ago today, less than 24 hours when I put that post out, they did the identical color, almost identical color, purple and white. It was the same, almost the same font, and it was, you look at them and they're the same colors. It's like, what? So I looked at that as a President Trump com, and I was really happy about it. Now, the thing about that is White Knights, and you might have some interesting information on this, Ismael. So White Knights is 153, okay? And you can see the screenshot. There's the thumbnail I did, and then President Trump's thumbnail, which is saying Happy Easter, okay? And Happy Easter comes to, this is all coded with this eclipse that's coming up. So if you do Happy Easter, 134, take away, 134 Happy Easter is also solar eclipse, and we know that's taking place in what, 8 days time. But it was amazing to see President Trump copy, not to acknowledge the same coloring that I used for the thumbnail just prior had. So it was amazing. But if you do 153, if you do White Knights, as you brought up, comes to a Black Swan event. It comes to also Galactic Federation. Now, I'm wondering if the White Knights are connected to the Galactic Federation. I'm sure they probably are, you know, because it goes all the way back to that. And I did the show just today. Well, I just went out today. This weekend, I did a show with Juan about Easter 2024. And right at the end, he left this little tip that was a massive one. And he's very good at, he even joked about it. He said, I asked him about NASA. And he said, oh, that stands for never a straight answer. They usually say never a space agency, but he said never a straight answer. And I was like, I almost choked on my so many people could be accused of that one, and he just carried on. But he's the master of that when he wants to say or what he doesn't want to say, because I do try and, you know, hit the pinata and get stuff out of him. But if he doesn't want to say it, he's not going to say it, and he'll go around the houses and bring out other stuff. Anyway, right at the end of the show, people are going to watch it. He talked about the heavenly city, the New Jerusalem. You and me have spoken about that many times. So Zion, people get all about Zionists. We're not talking about Zionists, we're talking about Zion, the New Jerusalem, the good version, Israel, the good version, not, you know, not all the other stuff. And he said, because it's the dove, you and me have spoken about that before. He didn't say the dove. He literally did it right at the end of the show. So I'm going to hit him with that next time we talk. But he said, it's this cube. He said, it's a massive starship, and it's a cube that it's 3,000 miles across. Now, even as I was saying across, there's a crossover in America, and a lot of people think, and even in the Mormon prophecies, they talk about the New Jerusalem over the American continent. Now you've got these eclipses taking place, which have been planned for eons of time, and we know that because there's the line of Nineveh cities, and then there's the line of Salem cities. Jerusalem has USA in the middle of it. I did a great show with Sheila Holm on that. But there's all these intersecting crosses. Now, cross, X in the alphabet, is the 24th letter. What year are we in? We're in 2024. Now, I asked Juan where this city would be located, where it would land. And I know, but, you know, is it going to land? Is it going to plug into the mothership, the Mother Earth? Earth is 52, ship is 52, mothership, Mother Earth. It's 131, John F. Kennedy. Anyway, he said, no, it doesn't. It levitates. It's above. It's a ship. It's a starship. I was like, okay. I said, well, where would that be? What region? He said, over Israel. Now, my question is, and I haven't drilled into him on it, will it go to other places? Because people have different claims for Israel. You've got the place of Israel right now. A lot will claim that Israel is America. There's even a claim for it to be over the UK, because there's that old William Blake hymn that talks about Jerusalem and this green and pleasant land. If you do Great Britain, which is the island where England resides, it comes to 146, which is New Jerusalem. Truth Social is New Jerusalem. Ivanka Trump, New Jerusalem, 146. The trumpet is 146. The universe is 146. April 8th is 113. 113 is trumpet. The April 8th or April 8th magic is 146, New Jerusalem. So maybe it does move around. I don't know. But this cube, what can you tell us? Any new stuff about the New Jerusalem and about the cube that you understand about Ismael? Because I was like, left it on a cliffhanger. But I've always been talking about the New Jerusalem for a long time, you know, the dove.
Yeah, that's there was also in the secret prophecies, as preserved through the Brotherhood of Light, which is again the ancient bloodline associated with the White Knights, which is very detailed in my new book. But yeah, you're right. You know, according to my discoveries and as revealed in this book, as I did dedicate a whole chapter to the history of the White Knights and who they were throughout the last thousands of years. Again, this is an age-old battle between good and evil. It could be traceable back to technically Babylon, Samaria, and Egypt. But if you really want to get technical, it actually goes back all the way to Atlantis. You know, in Atlantean times, the Dark Brotherhood.
Atlantis 96, spaceship 96.
Yeah. In Atlantean times, the Dark Brotherhood took over the affairs of our world, but they were only giving temporary power. And they know that their time is up. So what's happening right now, as we approach the solar eclipse, my friend, is a very important, the most important conjunction in the history of our world. This is where we are going to be seeing a final, you could say, defeat of the old guard, which is symbolized by the old kingdom.
There you go. I've got it. Even got visuals on the eclipse. There you go.
Yeah, which is symbolized by the old kingdom, the old guard, which is, the Babylonian brotherhood. The cabal is the final and modern day manifestation of an age-old agenda that could be traceable back to Babylon, right? And so what's happening right now is that this solar eclipse is signifying the end of the old king, which is represented by Babylon, and the rise of the new kingdom, which is represented by the descendants of King David, who are the Kennedys, right? Who are the Trumps and Princess Diana. And so what's happening is on this April 8th, the dark hats and the white hats are doing one final clash. The Large Hadron Collider is about to be turned on, and they're going to be accelerating those particles once again on the 8th during the eclipse. And there's a reason for it, right? There's a reason for that. And also, NASA is releasing some rockets. They're going to be launching some rocket towards the moon. All right. So, as many people are confused as to why this is happening. Well, this is all prophecies, man. This is the prophecies that we've been waiting for. The end ring of the Dark Brotherhood and the rise of the new age of the golden age of Aquarius. So what's happening is that despite the fact that many people think that the dark hats, the cabal, are the ones that are turning on the Large Hadron Collider, the accelerator, the particle accelerator in Switzerland, it's actually the white hats that are doing that. What they're doing is they're collapsing all the timelines, because right now there is an infinite amount of timelines, negative and positive timelines, that are coexisting at the same time. So as of the 8th of April, and this is something that the Galactics also mentioned, is that everything is going to collapse into only 3 timelines. We're going to have a negative dystopian technocratic timeline where the wicked go. We're going to have a positive ascending timeline where the righteous go. And that's going to lead towards the EBS, the implementation of the new rainbow currency, the restoration of the public, not only here in the States, but worldwide, the elimination of the cabal worldwide, the elimination of Klaus Schwab and the WEF and the globalist, the UN, NATO, all that stuff is going to crumble after the 8th of April as a result of this prophecy coming into fruition. Because many people know, astrologers, people who have studied the esoteric knowledge for centuries, know that every solar eclipse has a lot to do with the fall of a king, right? Whether it is through assassination, murder, whatever. Well, in this case, my friend, it is the fall of an entire reign that has been happening since the days of Babylon. Again, this all corresponds to the information that I talk about in my book, The Secret Government. So there's going to be a lot of stuff taking place in the next 2 weeks, brother, as we lead towards, the transition of power from the dark hats into the white hats. This is it. This is a time that we've all been waiting for. The prophecies coming to fulfillment. The righteous, the meek will inherit the new earth. And the Galactics, because of the fact that this is the final showdown, they do have major motherships that are in key position, right? Because the dark hats are going to try to, they're going to try to blow up the, what is called the Yellowstone Park volcano, the biggest one we have in the States. They're going to try to blow it up, and then in turn, they're going to also try to cause major earthquakes that is supposed to, I guess, cause the West and the East to sunk into the oceans. But that was part of the negative timeline. That's no longer going to happen. All right, because again, the Galactics, the Earth Alliance, Valiant Thor, they're all on it. They're all on it to make sure that all these negative timelines don't come into fruition by the 8th of April. That in fact, what's going to be happening is now that there is going to be a bifurcation of timelines where all of a sudden all of these, infinite probabilities are all coexisting at the same time, are all going to collapse into 3 major timelines. So we are going to.
How many timelines do you think we've got right now before the 8th of April?
Right now, there is an infinite number of timelines, and this actually ties into what I wanted to share with people about navigating the collective into the positive timeline where all of our dreams, all of our desires come into fruition. Everybody has a version of what they believe would be a new heaven on earth, and
yes.
So again, we're going to get to that. For those, I did promise you guys last month that I was going to teach you.
Ismael
was
keeps
going
his
to teach you guys
promises.
how to
He's here,
shift.
everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
How to shift to a positive timeline, which is again coexisting. It is a spectrum of timelines. You know, you have a spectrum of positive timelines. Each one is variated, or each one is slightly different than the other. And then you also have in the negative spectrum all these types of negative timelines, and each one is also slightly different than the other. So in the negative timelines, we have the destruction of America. We have the east and the west collapsing underneath the ocean, and only the central part region of America being sustained. And that explains why the billionaires are building underground bunkers, because they want to escape this cataclysm that they know it's coming. But on a positive timeline, that cataclysm was neutralized. It was canceled, and it's not going to happen. So what's happening is on the 8th, the white knights, what we would call the white hats, who are now in control of CERN, who are now in control of the HARP and all the different weather modification techs, are going to collapse all the negative timelines so that there is no disaster, so that there is no end of the world prophecies. And I also noticed that a lot of fundamentalist Christians are claiming that the rapture is going to take place on the 8th of April. And that is not true either. What's going to be happening on the 8th of April is a bifurcation of multiple timelines collapsing into only 3. And that's what's going to be happening. So we're still going to be here. You know, the only difference is that we're going to be seeing a huge transition in power from the old guard that has been ruling the reins of power for the last 6,000 years, right, as descendants of Nimrod of Babylon, and transitioning over to the descendants of the real Israelites, the lost 10 tribes of Israel, who are, associated with the white hats, not the political Zionists. Those are the fake Jews. We're talking about the real descendants of Abraham, the real descendants of Jacob and the lost 10 tribes, which, by the way, I also reviewed who the lost 10 tribes of Israel are in this book, in the Brotherhood of Light. And I talked about it last month with you, right? They were the unknown tribes that ransacked Rome to its knees. They were the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Vikings, the Celts, the Druids, the Vander, what is it called? There were so many names to describe. They were 10 nation state republics that were very spiritually advanced. The Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Saxons, and these people, the lost 10 tribes of Israel, my friend, were already sailing the 7 seas 2,000 years before Columbus, right? The Vikings. Those are all the real Israelites,
Very good.
So yeah, so that's what's going to be happening on the 8th of April. We're going to be seeing a huge, massive shift. And as a result of that, there are many motherships that are helping us out. The Dove, the New Jerusalem, the Capricorn, the Athena. And these are motherships that are associated with the Galactic Federation or the Galactic Alliance, the good positive races that are existing in higher dimensions that are technically future version of us. Of course, we are the positive extraterrestrials, right? In higher dimensions, future version of us. That we are them in the past, they are us in the future. There's going to be a huge, you could say, interdimensional synchronization of multiverses taking place on the 8th. So this is where I believe it's perfect timing to teach people how to secure themselves in the positive ascending timeline where they have abundance, where all of their desires are realized, where they are living according to their divine blueprint. In order to do so, we first have to understand the principles of quantum mechanics. For those that don't understand, or for those that haven't yet studied the principles of quantum physics, it is believed that there are different alternative versions of the Earth, an infinite amount, where instead of going right, you went left. Instead of marrying Joe, you married Bob. Or instead of, instead of having 3 children.
Just before we jump into the depth of the meat and bones of that, just wanted to clarify. So the 3 timelines that you're saying we're going to bifurcate on the 8th of April. So there's a good one, there's a negative one, and what's the other one? Just
middle one. There's going to be a middle one. In the middle one, we're still going to be seeing a little bit of whatever is left of the Cabal families in their final clash against the White Knights or the White Hats. I call them
Okay.
White Knights because, again, I'm going back to 2008, and this is before even the 17th letter of the alphabet came out. This is before Anonymous came out. And by the way, do you remember Anonymous in 2016, the guy with the face mask who was exposing all the corruption, right? The NWO. Well, that was the White Hats. That was military operations disguised since
Yeah.
2016, which of course led to the Great Awakening. They were so the 17th
He's in
letter,
that film V for Vendetta, which is all to do with
the Vendetta, exactly. They are
November 5th, you know. So
November
what people, so people are on their timelines, and there's lots of all different timelines. Are people going to start to see something? What are some of the, okay, on the good timeline? So what are some of the people, well, our audience, what are they going to start to see in their day-to-day lives as this accelerates from that point forth of April 8th?
a lot of positive things. You know, good things are going to be happening worldwide, not only individually but collectively. First and foremost, if after the 8th of April, we should start seeing some sort of impeachment of Brandon, first and foremost, the entire cabinet. As a result of that, we're going to start also witnessing all of the indictments that were filed against 45, President Trump. I wear my hat in support. All of that stuff is going to be canceled. It's going to be all knocked out. He's no longer going to have court issues. What else to expect in the positive timeline is his inevitable return to office, perhaps before the 8th of November or on the 8th of November. What we're
5th
also
of November. 5th of November.
5th of November. Thank you for correcting me. And what we're also going to witness on the positive timeline is, of course, the EBS and the announcements, the Nasser Gasser announcements, finally, all right, finally taking place. So that's the good news, all right. And as a result of that, we're all going to have abundance. You know, we're all going to be part of a society where all of your dreams are going to be realized. Everyone's going to give an opportunity to execute whatever humanitarian program they've always had in mind, whether it's to work with children, to rescue animals, building humanitarian programs. Everyone's going to have, money's not going to be the issue anymore. So, you know, in the positive timeline, you can quit your 9 to 5 eventually when these new programs come into play.
Well, and then what do you feel in terms of us going, so we'll go to, so it's multiple right now or dwindling, but then we'll go to 3. When do you see us finally on a one positive timeline? When do you feel that's coming?
Okay, so what's happening is, as we undergo this separation of timelines due to people's vibration and frequency, that's why it's important, guys, to maintain a steady frequency in the positive timeline and to not give your attention away to fear. There's I'm sorry to say this, guys, there's a lot of doomsdayers out there who are putting fear in the collective, right? They're making people believe that these globalists have the victory and that there are no white hats. That is baloney, guys. As revealed in my book, the white hats have always been around, okay? They do have a bloodline association and they do have a difference of agenda, right? The difference is this, the white hats always believe that we were originally divine beings that are now in a fallen state and that we need to recuperate our divinity. We need to reclaim our divinity as sovereign beings of God, children of God. Whereas the dark hats, the cabal families, they believe the opposite. Right? They believe that we are irrational animals that needed to be dominated, that needed to be subjugated. So that is the difference in philosophies that have allowed these brotherhoods to clash over the last thousands of years. And so now we're approaching a conjunction, a new era that is unfolding. A new age is coming as a result of the entering of the dark brotherhood. So what's going to happen is, for those that make the positive timeline, we're going to be witnessing the return of 45. A second term. During his second term, all of the information is going to be revealed. Everything, all the corruption, the underground bases, what they did to the little ones, all that stuff. I don't want to say it on this show because I know this is going to go on Bluetooth, and more. Every event that has ever happened was orchestrated and fomented by these people, right? Including the crime or family organizations that we commonly know as mafias. All that stuff is going to be revealed, which again I talk about in my book. But the whole purpose is this: is that these timelines are actually going to be continuing to separate. Once we're fully established within whichever timeline we end up in, those timelines are going to coexist on different realities, my friend. for a period of about 1,000 years, and this is what the Bible calls 1,000 years of peace. So for 1,000 years of peace, the negative timeline is going to go into the technocratic dystopia. Unfortunately, for people that don't make the shift into the positive timeline, are going to be going into smart cities. They're going to be connected to the board through the Internet of Things. They're going to be part of the the globalist digital currency, the CBDC. So remember, that timeline still has to exist, but in a different reality. That's going to be called the 1,000 years reign of the Antichrist. So the people that are not good are going to unfortunately be going into that timeline, all right? Which means they're going to become cyborgs, right? But at the end of the millennium, my friend, there's going to be a final clash between the positive timeline and the negative timeline. However, during the millennium, remember I was talking about the middle timeline? That timeline is also going to coexist, but on a different reality. And in that middle timeline, we're going to have a little bit of both. We're going to have still good and evil, except in that middle timeline, evil is going to be represented by the transhumanists, by the rise of the cyborgs, what they call human 3.0, according to the Kabbal's version of human 3.0. And then you're going to also have physical angels, humans who are organic, who ascended organically, but are still kind of in that in-between timeline where you have humans with supernatural power similar to the X-Men. You're going to have cyborgs, and then you're also going to have regular people who are, which is what I call the Earth Terrans, that are going to be existing in that fourth dimensional Earth reality. So regardless, where these timelines,
that middle range, can they shuffle in and out? So if they're in that middle bit, which is a little bit, maybe you could argue, as you were saying, that I'm thinking, hang on, I wonder if we're in that fourth realm right now, or about to be.
Well, right now we're before April 8. Right now, as we approach April 8, we're coexisting with all of them. Every probability. Yeah. Every probability.
Once it distills into the three, do you feel that there's the chance for people to move? So if they're in that if they're in that middle lane, that middle zone, and there's extremes of one end, and then there's angels and super soldiers and X-Men and superheroes, are the people in the middle able to transition out of that into the real positive timeline? Is that part of the purpose of the three of the middle, or what do you think?
I think anything is possible, but from what I understand is that those three timelines, once they're fully solid on their own realities, they're going to be there for at least 1,000 years. So if you are on the positive sending timeline,
so you're basically celestial, terrestrial, and celestial. It's the three kingdoms of glory, isn't it?
The three kingdoms, and
the moon, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay, yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, interesting. You know what? As you were saying all that, Ismael, so some things came to mind. So this whole thing of, so the timeline change, if you do the numbers on that, comes to 158, which comes to remember. And we've been told to remember the 5th of November. You talked about the guy with the mask. That's closely what's in the film V for Vendetta. That's all about November 5th. The election taking place is November 5th. The timeline changed is 162. That's also 3 timelines. The timeline changes, that's 177. Top of your game. That's my President Trump talks about that one. That's the title of one of my shows. But the timeline changes. Sorry, the timeline change 158. It's also the timeline death. So maybe when we go into, if you're in the positive realm, if you're in the one where everything is glorious, those other things could be that the timelines actually disintegrate, and we've just got that one. If you're in the one, then you don't really worry about the others, but everything else would fall away. But 158 comes to children of Israel as well, which is the timeline change. Children of Israel 158. Remember 158. And then the rest of the phrase goes on to say, remember the 5th of November. So it could be the timeline change, the 5th of November. That comes to 355. You talked about 45. He's coming back. The 310th day of the year this year, because it's on a leap year, it goes from 309, which is the shot heard around the world. It's the same day, but it lands on a 310. 310 is Malachi 310 with Jasar and Asara, the quantum. That's in the last book of the Bible. But 310th day of the year is this election, November 5th. And that would come to children of Israel the 5th of November, 355, the 310th day of the year, plus 45, or the word effect, which is 45. Spade is the highest suit in the cards. President Trump spoke about that on the Space Force flag ceremony. But 45 coming back on 310, because that's what that election is. So it's interesting because it's like, okay, so what's coming? I've known for a while that something massive is coming. It's more than an election. It's the court election and made sure it's like, okay, it's effectively people's rewards of where that, you know, how they've been through this time, through these lifetimes, and where they're going to go. Are they going to be in the real super celestial God positive timeline? Are they going to be in the middle? Or are they going to be at the end? But remember is 158, which is children of Israel. Why has President Trump done the Abraham Accords? Abraham Accords is 107 Aquarius, which is a quantum, which is Trump's, which is military, which is currency, which is Superman. All of those things, you know?
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say celestial, celestial, terrestrial. So obviously the positive ascending timeline is going to restore us back to the celestial kingdom, which existed prior to the current reality program that was installed by AI during the times of Atlantis. Again, guys, we are living in an AI simulation that was imposed by Enki, Marduk, and the fallen Anunnaki during Atlantean times. You know, there's been this intergalactic network that has been dominating our universe for about 2 billion years. And that network has now been dismantled. Not only here within our solar system, we took out the Red Queen, we took out what was going to be called the Skynet that they were building. And we also took out the Red Queen in Betelgeuse, which is, again, broadcasting from Orion, where the negative aliens come from. Not all Orions are negative. It's just a small group. We call them the NAA, the Negative Alien Agenda Syndicate, which consists of what we would call in the Bible the fallen angels. But yeah, those guys have been dismantled already, you know. So what's happening right now is beautiful, because there is going to be somewhat of a cosmic reset as a result of what's going to happen on the 8th of April. It's not just affecting our planet. This is affecting the entire multiverse.
Wow, bring it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it on. Have you seen, I wanted to ask you this before we go into the, you know, actually how we can do the quantum and change the timelines and make sure, you know, shore up people's positions on those lines. Have you seen the film? I've mentioned this in a lot of our shows. Have you ever seen the film Tenet before?
Never.
Okay. It's a good one, brother. You should watch it. But I'll mention it. So Tenet is 64 in numbers. American, 64. Israel, 64. Zion, 64. Jubilee, 64. Movie, 64. 64 is 8 times 8. 88. Trump. There's 88 constellations, purple, all of, you know, Scotland. It's all the whole lot. Anyway, but this film came out in 2020, and I've been talking about it a lot, and it's come to my awareness again this weekend. But basically, they have a principle of, they call this thing a temporal pincer, which basically is it's like time travel. It's not exactly time travel, but it's traveling in reverse. So it's like you have the red team, you've got the red MAGA cap, President Trump with the red tie, and then you've got the blue team, and there's President Trump with the blue tie. But it talks about this principle of things being done in reverse to rectify things of event, to prevent certain causalities. I'm wondering if, in fact, it feels like that this lifetime is a complete temporal pincer movement, and maybe this galactic one. But I'd love your thoughts on it. Maybe you'll get the chance to watch it before our next episode, Ismael. But you can literally, they show in the film literally people walking backwards. So they have soldiers in Ukraine doing something, dismantling something, an Armageddon moment. You've got the red team going in one direction, and you've got the blue team walking in backwards, and they're able to. It's great. It's a bit of a mind boggle, even for, you know, I say even for me, that sounds big headed, but I still have to get my head around it. And there's a great truther, the real Kim Shady on Twitter. She added some more light to it from my perspective. But the interesting thing about it is temporal pincer comes to 165, which is resurrection. And I'm wondering if this whole thing with the timelines, if there are white hats, white knights that have maybe been on these super missions that have been, you talked about this whole thing going on for 2 billion years. I wonder if there have been people that have been doing stuff in the past or reversed into the future to come back at certain moments to nullify and change the course of events. To do an atonement is 107, quantum is 107, military is 107, Aquarius is 107. I'm wondering, and the word movement, so it's a temporal pincer movement, resurrection quantum. I'm wondering if there's I think there's some truth to that, and I'm going to explore it more over the next days and weeks. But I wondered if you, in your knowledge, even if you hadn't seen the film, you might, that some of that might resonate with you.
I've never seen it, but it does resonate with me because there is the element of time travel, and this is where the guardians of the time looking glass technology, as well as the guardians of the time travel, you could say timelines, are us broadcasting from the future as we put an end to the negative timeline, because there will be a final war against the Phantom Matrix, which is an alternative multiverse that is occupied by artificial cybernetic intelligence. We call them the machines. And that's what we're ultimately fighting, is the Antichrist, the machine. So yes, I do believe that they did send our super soldiers as far back as 2 billion years ago from the present moment in order to affect the present moment so that we could arrive at a positive organic ascending timeline. Absolutely. Because if it wasn't for our super soldiers going back 2 billion years ago when this war against AI began from another universe, then we wouldn't have made it at this point. We would have all eventually would have been forced to get the mark of the beast, which is, of course, you know, what would ultimately convert us from organic beings to homoborg, Homoborg, and connect us to the mind hive.
Not Homer Simpson, but Homer Borgo.
Yeah, Homoborgo.
Homer Borgo.
But yeah, that's very true. That's very true. You know, our super soldiers, they had to actually go into the past, way into the past, and way into the future to make sure that they arrived at this moment in time, as we are now at the nexus point. We are the hub. This is the hub where we're at right now.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting, buddy. So I'm thinking perhaps even at this point, because I'm all about like the big, you know, I want it to be a victory and we'll celebrate. There's also the possibility that we get to this juncture, and I do think it is November 5th. That's what I feel. And it could be, you know, kick on. We could start April 8th and then move forward. Could be solar flash or whatever is coming in between. But I'm thinking perhaps that juncture, that nub, that nexus, like you said, is maybe at November 5th and it flips. And then that's when things really start to change and atonement takes place. But the whole thing of what you said about people going to the past billions of years and into the future billions of years, because they say it's not ruining it, but at the end of the film, they say they complete the mission, they save the world, no one knows that it's happened, but they stop Armageddon and they change the timeline. But then one of the guys realizes from the other guy that is in the know, because he's done this whole mission back and forth. He says the other guy's just at the halfway point. And I was like, I wonder if that might be what it is. Maybe we reached the halfway point. But then as we're going to halfway point, then that's when, you know, the things that we want come to fruition. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, unless you knew that, you wouldn't know that it's coming. But now we're kind of be given snippets of info, you know, pieces of light, downloads, data, DNA is getting activated, and we're remember the week to remember. And maybe we get to that juncture of November 5th, and then maybe we start to see things. There's even it's on my Twitter. Someone has filmed something, and it looks like maybe DC, and there's soldiers moving backwards, but you can see in the background there's citizens walking in a normal way. Now, I don't know if someone's just done this really cleverly, but it looks like a piece of news footage, and it looks like the Tenet soldiers walking backwards, just in a normal thing. And I'm like, that's incredible. It's incredible. It's mind-boggling, but it's incredible. But it's super exciting. And I'm like, maybe that's what they've been doing. Maybe that's what they've been doing, sending guys and girls into the past, eons of time, and into the future. Maybe that's what I've done, and we haven't known. It's like, okay, we're waking up, and maybe we've been on this loop, this merry-go-round, this nexus, this hub for a long, long time. And maybe we're getting at that point where our memories come back, we remember. Memory reboot is 143. There's a lot of great pieces of music on YouTube Shorts and other, you know, formats. It's a great, people will recognize it even if they don't know the name of it. But memory reboot is 143, November 5th, 143. And I'm like, is that what we're going to have? Are we going to have a memory reboot? I have a feeling we might, Ismael. I have a feeling we might.
Well, that's been prophesied that we would to get all our memories back as to who we were before we were all dumbed down, deactivated, and forced into this 3D matrix.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Bring it on. I'm ready. I'm ready. I felt ready a long time ago, but I'm excited. I'm always excited, but I feel excited. I'm like, I love it when I discover more and more pieces. I'm like, I think that might be what it is. I'm looking forward to the 8th of April. We're getting closer. It felt like last week. I was like, I think it might be a marker. We look back, but I was like, we're going to see lots of big things. I was like, well, maybe not, other than the physical trajectory of it. But you never know. We might do that message that Trump said. His Trump team when he confirmed the same colors. I decoded it. I was like, he's confirming that eclipse. Yeah. He's confirming the eclipse. It's like, okay, let's. Put it this way. I'm more excited than I was last week about it. I was excited before, but now I'm like, I don't know what's coming, but something's coming. Something's coming, and I'm excited.
Yep, something's coming. Positive things are coming for those that are in the positive timeline. Now,
positive is 115, 11/5, November 5th. Now, let's get on to what you're going to share with us about how to do the quantum and how people can shore up their timelines and choose their timelines if they need to.
Okay, so everyone that is at least awakened, we're talking about those that are not like still programmed, right? Some people call them the normies. So if you are at least awakened, right? You snapped out of the programming, you stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. It doesn't matter if it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The fact that you are awoken from the programming is telling me that you're at least in the middle timeline. Now, in order to secure yourself in the positive timeline, you do have to implement various things throughout your day. First and foremost, you have to always be mindful of your thoughts because your thoughts are co-creating, right? We are co-creating the universe, guys, through our thoughts, okay? We are co-creators, right? We are, as much as we are living in the simulation, we are also the architects, okay? So we have to first understand that we have the power to bend reality through our thoughts and through our emotions, all right? Emotions is a big key in this, okay? So every morning, I want you guys to do this. Every morning upon waking up, set your intention. How do we set your intention? By focusing on the first few thoughts that come into your mind upon waking up. If those thoughts are negative, dismiss them, all right? Dismiss them. If those thoughts are positive, ground them, all right? Accumulate them, enhance them. Likewise with your emotions. When you wake up every morning, as of today, are you thinking in positive emotions, which sets the tone for high vibrations, right? Are you grateful for your life? Are you not living in a state of competition where I want to be better than that person, right? Let go of the ego, right? The more you practice letting go of the ego, the more you practice gratitude, the chances are you're going to be in the positive, in the highest timeline, which is, again, the timeline of Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, universal awareness, understanding that every life form is God, right? It's all interconnected. We're part of the bigger organism. The organism is known as our universe.
You pause there, Ismael.
Working in harmony. So do we, guys.
Repeat the last 10 seconds again. You paused.
Okay, so we are the universe. Start cultivating the mentality of holistic and the idea that everything is one. Start embracing every living life form. Start embracing every person, even if they're not awakened. Understand that they have a Christ within. Everybody has a divine self. Again, the philosophy that the white hats, the white knights, whatever you want to call them, have always believed, and this is why they have always fought the dark brotherhood. And that's what they always collapsed the empires. And that's why they brought us out of the dark ages through the Reformation and the Renaissance, which were all acts of the white hats back in 500, 600 years ago. Is because they've always believed that mankind was fallen from their divinity, that originally we were divine beings, all right? And we are divine beings. So it's time to take up our divinity by what? By first cultivating the mentality that everything in life is sacred. Okay, so this is fifth dimensional awareness. This is the positive timeline, guys. Every morning, check your thoughts. Are your thoughts aligned with 5D consciousness, which is what? Seeing everything as sacred, non-judgment, no more judgment, no more competition, but seeing everyone as a different expression of the one God source, okay? Secondly, are you guys checking your emotions? Your emotions is exerting a magnetic field. Your thoughts are exerting an electro field. So what happens is when you are combining your thoughts and your emotions as one, you're creating an electromagnetic frequency that is tuning you like a fork pitch. It's tuning your vibration to match the positive ascending timeline, okay? So that is what you guys need to do, all right? Whether you do it through meditation, through Tai Chi, through yoga, make sure that every morning you guys are in check of your thoughts and your emotions. And if you guys could incorporate 15 to 20 minutes a day of giving that time to the divine, the higher power, all right? Whatever you want to call it, right? There is a God. Apparently there is a God. Something is weaving everything into existence. Something beyond our comprehension, some divine intelligence that we see it in everything, right? In the blossoming of a flower, in the acorn becoming an acorn tree, and in the development of a fetus inside a female's womb. It's all divinely orchestrated, right? Give yourself 20 minutes a day and align with that divinity, which is everywhere, all existing all at once, okay? It is the unified force of quantum physics. It is the force of Star Wars. And as long as you guys are doing those two things, checking your thoughts, checking your emotions upon waking up, and giving yourself 15, 20 minutes a day to dedicate that time to the divine, right? Whether it's through meditation or prayer, whatever works for you, right? Everyone's different. You guys will secure your existence in the positive ascending timeline. You guys are going to bypass the middle path or the middle timeline and be part of the timeline where heaven on earth is going to be manifested for everyone that makes the positive ascending timeline. So, you know, in order to understand that, you have to understand the principles of quantum physics, the principles of quantum mechanics, right? There is an infinite amount of versions of you. There are an infinite amount of Earths. And that's why the Dark Hats created CERN from the beginning, because they wanted to throw us into an alternative universe where they win. But guess what? The White Hats took over, and now they're going to collapse all those timelines to the positive timeline. So the White Hats are doing their job. The Galactics are doing the job. All you have to do is live in alignment with fifth dimensional consciousness, which is, again, brotherly and sisterly brotherhood or acceptance of others, no judgment, compassion, and just, you know, live as if everything is divine. Animals are divine, plants are divine, everything that is breathing well and alive is divine. So always respect, you know, everything that is alive as divine. So as long as you guys cultivate that mentality, and of course, it's good to also not be selfish, right? Be considerate of others. That's also fifth dimensional mentality, right? We're moving into an era where, you know, there will be no wicked, there will be no malintention, there will be no more secret societies. The age of secret societies is coming to an end, which means everything's going to be transparent, right? As we move into that timeline, we're going to become telepathic. So check your thoughts. Check your thoughts and make sure that they are positive, right? I'm not saying to be holy. I'm not saying to become a monk or ascetic. All I'm saying is just to be a good person and practice that. That's it. So that's how we shift into the positive timeline. It's understanding the quantum model of reality, and also understanding that it is through our thoughts and emotions that we are constantly shifting throughout the day into all these different alternative Earths. So if you guys want to make sure you guys are established within the positive ascending Earth, well, you have to be vibrating at that particular frequency.
Thank you, buddy. Well said,
Yeah.
well remembered. You made me think of, so you'll know this, is it Inamoto, the water and the rice?
Well, that's a scientific experiment that proves what I just said.
The quantum physics. Yeah, exactly.
Quantum physics.
Yeah. So people can look that up. So even if people are kind of, you know, dare I say, more on the negative side, most of our audience aren't. But if people need a, you know, just some evidence of that, look that up. You can, you know, it's freely available. And they basically speak into the water. They speak into even rice with water, and it has an effect, you know, if it's negative labeling, because it's the intention. the frequency, it's the intention, and if that is the case, then they creates this chaotic water structure. The rice goes off, but if it's love intentions, loving words, then it's beautiful fractals, beautiful crystalline structures with all the, like snowflakes basically, with the water, and then even the rice, so it's preserved and it's, you know, it's edible, etc.
Same principle.
Yeah, it's the same principle, isn't it? Yeah. I like when you said as well about transparent. So you'll know this. So some, particularly in Mormon faith, but there might be others as well, they talk about the earth becoming like a sea of glass, like this Urim and Thummim, where they can see it's transparent. So all knowledge is, you're not seeing through the dark glass anymore. You know, there's no more covering, there's no more deceit. Truth is readily available. And I love that principle, because it's like there's nothing more than a frustration of when things are blocked. It's like you can't see what people are lying and you've got to figure it out. And it slows everything down. Whereas life, the universe is quicker than light speed, you know, it's quicker than that. It's instant, it's across everything. But if things are transparent and they're clear and they're crystalline and they're, you know, you can see everything. You can see the past, present, and future. Everything is one. I love that principle. Yeah. And you just made me think of that, as you said, about transparency, you know. So, well, brother, it's always a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun today. And I guess next time we'll talk, we'd have had the eclipse, and maybe, and I think we will, the way it's going, would have experienced new upgrades, new things, you know. I'm feeling it.
Positive changes, upgrades and positive changes.
Yeah, upgrades and positive changes. That's it, exactly.
And never give your attention away to doomsday, to you know, porn, fear porn, because you know there is a counterintelligence that is working with a cabal that is infiltrated our community, the truther community, and they're all about the end of the world, you know, huge cataclysms, we're all going to die, blah blah blah. Don't pay attention to none of that, guys, because what they want to do is, again, they know mind creates, so they want to gear the collective consciousness. If they could get enough people to thinking that, then that's what's going to happen. And of course, we're not going to let that happen, because we're not going to fall for that trap, you know.
Exactly. Well said. I think people that have been on this journey with me and they see my material, you know, I always give out positive messages and positive codes, positive intentions. People say to me, "Oh, what about the negative numbers?" It's like, you know what? Go for it. You can find them if you want. I know some of them, but I don't need to, you know. We've had enough of that nonsense throughout all of this time. We need a lightsaber, a super beam, a bat signal of pure light. And that's what we try and bring. That's what we try and bring, brother. That's what, you know, that's what my channel is about. That's what you try to bring to the party. And we're doing it. And that's why people tune in. And all the other stuff, I don't listen. You know, it's not interesting to me. The light, the positive, the clarity, the transparency, the truth, the upgrades, the higher dimensions, the higher consciousness, the glory, the beauty of it all, that's the stuff that resonates with me. And that's what I always talk about. That's you know, positive Tom. That's what I am. Positive Ishmael. That's what we're about. Positive is 115. 115 is 11/5, which is November 5th. So I do feel that, whether it's I've been seeing it for a long time as a victory, as a celebration, and maybe we get to the halfway juncture, but then we're going up. It could be that. I don't know. Whatever's coming, it's going to be glorious and it's amazing. But I do see victory for us at that point. And there may be many victories to come. The best is yet to come, maybe then, or it may be a little further down the line. But I definitely see that as a massive mark in the sand. And we're in the year of 24. 24 is X, you know. It's coming. It's coming. Even if you do the numbers on the 8th of April, it comes to 167, which spells the word 24. 24 is X. It's 24th letter. President Trump said we're in the final battle. You know, here I've got his book here, Ishmael. I've shared this with others, but I'll share it with you. So you've got Trump 88. You've got The Art of the Deal 148, which comes to scriptures or scripture, comes to simple gematria, it comes to Emmett Brown, Time Traveler with one L, the American way to say it. And I'm going to show you this. So November 5th, in my opinion, with the Q posts, starts the week to remember. I believe starts November 5th because we've been told to remember the 5th of November. A week later is Armistice Day or Remembrance Day here in the UK. I think it's another day in America. I can't remember the name of it, but that's November 11th, 11/11. 11 times 11 is 121. Revelation, Second Coming. Who's Second Coming? I think there might be a few. But you know what I said earlier in the show, remember the 5th of November, it comes to 355. Let's have a look at this final chapter of President Trump in the book, Ismael. He says, the week that was, how the deals came out. The week that was comes to 176, which comes to November the 5th. And look at the page number, 355. Remember the 5th of November. He's telling us when it's coming. And that's why, in my beautiful and humble and meek and victorious superhero divine angel consciousness that we all have, because we're all Trump's team, that's why his team confirmed, in my humble opinion, that tweet I did last night when it was beautiful purple background on the thumbnail with white writing, and then they came out with the exact same format and colors less than 24 hours later when he wished us all a Merry Christmas. It's the same thing, Happy Easter. You know, he's confirming to us that it all, if we have hearts and ears and eyes to see and to listen, it's all in there. And it's coming. And we're only a week away from the solar, I was about to say the solar flash, but the solar eclipse, the third one. 3 is the magic number, you know, 333.
This is the final one. This is the
final one.
Final
it is.
Flash. But these are the signs. These are the signs of the times. These are the prophecies, my friend.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I hope everyone's living right. Everyone's living at least somewhat as a generous person. Be kind, because shift is coming, and you want to make sure you are in the right timeline. Otherwise, you know, there is going to be a timeline where the negative, the wicked go to, which is not going to be too fun, right? They're going to be controlled, absolutely mind controlled. They're going to lose their soul eventually to this AI, the super AI that is about to take over that world on that timeline, not our world. That is a different Earth. Again, right now they're all coexisting, but the split is coming. So make the choice now. I'm also going to be making an appearance at the Biomed Alien event, not this weekend, but next weekend here in Los Angeles. And I'm also going to be making an appearance and doing a presentation on the 21st, no, on the 20th and the 21st, which is in 3 weekends in April, over in San Rafael, Northern California. So if you guys go to the New Living Expo, I will be there presenting. And I'm also going to be on the Planetary Ascension panel, delivering my perspective on the Ascension. And again, you know, if you guys want to get to this book, which is on fire right now, the information in this book is mind-blowing. You guys are all ready to know the truth about everything that has happened, everything that they've withheld from us. Make sure that, you know, you guys order it through the link that I give Tom here. Or you can just go to Amazon and type in The Secret Government, Invincible Architects, Power, Secret, and Lies.
That's it. Get Ismael's book. It looks great. And in closing, so if people want to, because this one thing I focus on in the last year or two is just keep doing my mission. Mission is 98, 9 plus 8, 17, Q. Diana's funeral was at 9:08 in the morning, 9 plus 8, 17, Q, all of it. But also just in terms of just my being, my physical being. So I've been doing things that just help preserve and upgrade my system. And I talk about this a lot. Ismael's aware of it. But you've got Shungite and Orgonite, these wonderful products that I have, the links are below. The Shungite is 103. Orgonite is 103. You add them together, is 206. Comes to quantum physics. Drop the 0, comes to 26. It comes to God. It comes to game. And so that's another way. Just getting good things in your body. Whether it's like this, we've got sleeping pods. I put this in the fridge. Preserves the water. Structures the water, I should say. Preserves fruits and vegetables. Sleeping pods, I have a couple of these in my bed. I know Ismael's got some as well. But just these things can help. They help with the whole thing. You know, it's been a battle, been a lot of joy, but during these things that help get us to that timeline, these things can definitely help you. So filling your mind with knowledge of Ismael's work in his book, listening to my shows, decoding the numbers, and getting physical products like the Shungai and Organite. You know, you can even get beautiful pyramid versions, and they've got Easter discounts on right now. So again, the links will be below. Buddy, it's been really amazing, as always. I love the hat. Good luck with your expo next week. That will be a lot of fun. If I was there, I would come, but I think I'll be here. I was thinking of going to see the Eclipse, but I don't think I will. But who knows? Maybe I'll get a download like Joseph having a dream in the Technicolor Dream, and I feel like, I need to go. You know what? This is another one. They've been telling us for a long time. So Joseph of Egypt. Egypt is 73. Joseph is 73. Guess what? When you add them together, Joseph plus Egypt comes to 146. Comes to New Jerusalem 146. They've been telling us, you know, he had dreams, he had downloads, he had these intuitions, and you know, he was buffeted for a while, but then he came back around. You know, his brothers, his family came back around, and that's what's happening to all of us. So anyway, Ismael, it's a pleasure, buddy. God bless you. Keep pushing forward, and I'll see you on the other side of the eclipse.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the positive timeline soon.
There you go, positive 1:15, 11:05, November 5th. And I think it's going to start as that's what it feels like. Someone, that's the other thing, someone built those cities, the Nineveh cities. Someone built those Salem cities. They knew.
They were built by the White Knights.
Yeah, as I was going to say, it must have been them. Must have been them.
To give us the clues. Because if you go back to the history of the White Knights, the White Knights are the descendants of King David, and they are all associated with the Melchizedek priesthood that goes back to Abraham and Archangel Melchizedek. Yeah. This is a brotherhood that has had access to the secret knowledge, right? The original Stone Guild Masons, the original builders of the architects of these wonderful temples that were built on these sacred sites, right? All that sacred geometry was engraved in there by the Knights Templars, who were the enemies of the Vatican. Again, it's all revealed here, guys. So order your copy of The Secret Government and be mind blown and have access to all this information. We'll talk to you guys later. Love you, Tom.
Thanks, buddy. Love you too, Ismael. Take care. I see you on the other side of
yes, in the positive timeline.
On the positive timeline. This is it, man. This is it. Just think how bonkers 2020 was. 2024 is going to be 10 times more so, but in a surprising, glorious, interdimensional, positive way. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. All right, my friend. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Click the links below. Get Ismael's book. Get the Shungai, and we'll see you soon. All right, everyone. Happy Easter. Bye.